So I'm going to continue talking about some other elements of erosion and sediment control. The topic of this, a friend of mine used to say, Dave Derrick, we were teaching across the country, and he was going, this isn't brain surgery, it's more complicated. And it really is. The moon is right there, and we have a jet engine. We put so much fuel, we could calculate it and probably hit the moon. But this kind of thing is really complicated. There's the parts we talked about planning. There's the actual BMP implementation, choosing and selecting BMPs. There's the political stuff. There's the regulations says things that don't make sense. It's really, really complicated. And if it was really simple, I think I'd probably have stopped doing it a long time ago. It's always a new challenge. So if you're scratching your head going, God, this is really crazy, well, yeah, it is. It is. And it's satisfying sometimes to get a completed project. So we're going to talk a little bit about erosion theory and discuss just a few things. Erosion can be really beautiful. I'm a fluviogeomorphologist. I studied geology and geomorphology, and then I went into natural resources and studied natural resources, soils, and I got kind of a double degree. I'm a watershed geologist. And then when I got out of school, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I couldn't find a job as a geologist, thank goodness, and I just became a landscape contractor. And then the first time I ran into somebody that talked about erosion, because I'd heard about erosion back at Humboldt State, I went down and asked what they were doing, what they were talking about. They said that October and November were erosion control month for Santa Cruz County, and they had a special seed blend. And I ran down, and it was courtesy of the Resource Conservation District. Do you have soil conservation districts here in the islands? Anyway, I ran down there, and they kind of recruited me as within a year, I was a CPESC, certified professional erosion specialist, and writing BMPs and BMP manuals and stuff. Anyway, so erosion, learning a lot about erosion can be beautiful, but it's not beautiful when it's on your site. You certainly don't want that. Someone kiddingly, Alaska came kicking and screaming into the Clean Water Act in the 90s, and they got fined for filling in the wetlands on the Kenai Peninsula. And they allowed a contractor built the new Kenai Highway, and there was like 2 million yards of cut. And so the highway department didn't pay any attention, so they took the 2 million yards and just dumped it off the cliffs right into the Kenai wetlands down there, and at 2 million yards, and that was and of course they had no protocol. They didn't know what to do with their fill. They didn't even know what the contractor let them do whatever they want, The contractor had kind of bought the land and then dumped on it. Anyway, it was interesting. So they made it the erosion control capital of the world. You can't see that very well, but some vandals went in there and put a silt fence and a straw bale at the bottom of the sign, Homer, Alaska. So we're going to talk about erosion just a little bit, some of the definitions. This is the little urban stream I work in Redding, and this is one of the big things these days in my country is you heard of the fires we've had in Northern California? And then the fires in PG&E, the utility company, the transmission lines have been under-maintained. And so these huge fires, they build these access roads up to the towers, and they widen them, and they don't do anything for them. It's like just getting to one tower is like 2 Walmarts in land disturbance. And then you can all you have to do is follow the turbidity up and know where they've been. So we have transmission lines, fracking lines, windmill lines. You probably have a lot of other access roads that are to things that could be quite a problem, and so far not regulated. So soil erosion, we talked about that. That's Junior hitting the ground with his butt, and that's where all the energy begins. 90% of the erosion in the world, the energy comes from raindrop erosion. And I hinted to you a little bit that we had some practices that were 90% effective. Now you can get a cookie for answering this question correctly. Name one erosion control technique for raindrop impact that's 90% plus effective? Anybody? Chocolate chip cookie? What? Nope, track walking's 52%, but I'm gonna give you a cookie because you're being innovative. That's really good. But think of one that was 90%. You remember? Compost, yes, so 99.9%. Yeah, grab a cookie on your way out. Okay, can we get another one? I want to get to 4. I call them the big 4. Give me another one. Do you remember that erosion control blankets were 94 or 96% effective? Okay, we got compost, erosion control blankets. What's another one we got? Cush for his tush. Straw? Did somebody say straw? Straw. You heard straw. 94%. Pick up a cookie on your way. 90%, 94%. And then, what's that? Track rolling? No, he already said track walking. That's 52%. But that's a good point to bring that up. If straw is 94 and track walking is 52, what if you track walk and put straw on? That's 144%. The soil starts falling back up on the site. That's no kidding. Russell says so. No, okay, it's not right. And we got one more. It's your favorite erosion control cush for your tush. It's the favorite one you have here in the islands. What is it? Maybe not your favorite. It takes stakes to stake it in place. It takes a whole bunch of soil prep to get the soil ready for it. No, erosion control blankets. Blankets and mats. Yeah. You get 2 cookies. You're going to be sorry for this. You're going to have to work that off tomorrow. Okay, so we have 4 techniques that are 90% effective. And 90% of the erosion in the world comes from raindrop impact and 4 techniques. We could really go save the world. What are we pitzing around doing sediment control for and runoff control? You know? We just need to be doing a lot of erosion control. If you do a lot of erosion control, you know how long it's been since I put a silt fence on one of my sites? I'm proud to say a long, long time. I don't like silt fences. I don't like putting them in. They hurt to put in properly. If you're going to put it in, you're going to put it in right. So, I guess what I'm saying, if there's no sediment being produced, why do I need a silt fence? And then I'm a geomorphologist, so I grade things so they match the old grade, you know. Nothing like Mother Nature has shaped things so that they don't erode, if you possibly can. Okay, sediment is coming off of this. This is runoff control at the city of Reading. Look at that. Now that's stupid plus. See, that's almost criminal because someone's gonna think that that's a good thing. And it's obviously the city of Reading and maybe even the highway department did that, so it must be right. And then everybody driving by doing erosion control drive-by, haven't you done a lot of your erosion control education by drive-by? And you see somebody else do it and then you perpetuate it. I'm gonna do that too. So how many people are gonna do a straw bale energy dissipator? You know, that is so wrong. Why not take care of that water? One of my students and they're mostly equipment operators, by the end of the 9-week class, they would understand that there's a problem on this site. Water is going to be coming onto the site and causing all sorts of erosion. So that's got to be taken care of. And I don't know if you can see this site right here. This is really muddy, and this is relatively clear. And if you follow this tributary of mud up, it's the Alameda County Road, and you follow this up, and it's that off-highway vehicle park. And you'd think those motorcycles were tearing it up, but the county road was tearing it up worse than the motorcycles were. And then sedimentation then is the deposition of eroded material. This is down in Orange County, kind of a beachy marine deposit, and they're using big quail logs as a source of trying to trap the sediment. And somebody needed to, and look at, they even put gravel, they put rock in to fill the gullies. nobody walked up to the top of the slope and see where the gully came from. And it was a kind of a old access road, a little Jeep road up there. And one shovelful could have diverted the water away from that. Okay, and then turbidity, we talked about that. Turbidity, that's unfortunately or fortunately the measure we use, whether being successful or not. And so that's one way of measuring. I never thought I would like to see effluent limits. But now that I'm on the other end of this doing some design builds, I'm like maybe a enthusiastic but not well-trained regulator will come to me and say, where's your silt fence perimeter control? And I'll go, well, I don't need any. And I'm the QSD, and no, I want to see that silt fence. And I have to go into this whole thing about why would you want me to have a silt fence? And in California now, I'm the one who signed the QSD. I'm the QSD who signed the erosion control plan. I'm not going to allow you to sign. That's because I'm old and grumpy now too. I'm not going to allow you to design for me. You know, then come get me. If it fails, come get me, because we're now in the Clean Water Act is at that point where we have to be effective because there's testing, right, required and inspections. And if I'm wrong, there will be a failure, and it'll be noted in the SWIP. So try not to do the stupid things. You know, that regulator might have drove by and saw that straw bale and thought, I've been waiting for a job, and you need a straw bale energy dissipator on your job. You know, so you have to be careful. That's why I want you to have confidence in these BMPs and how they work, and don't do the stupid ones. I don't know if you've noticed that rill erosion, this is just junior, the first part of a cut slope. Have you ever noticed that just a natural cut slope, if they're really long, about a third of the way down, rills start forming? That's just the raindrop falling on it. It takes about that long for junior and his buddies to gang up. And then they're going hog wild, and then they really gang up and they become, gang members for gullies. So we've got raindrop erosion, and then this is sheet erosion. Sheet erosion goes really slow. You could still use straw. You could use the big four for sheet erosion. But when you get to rill erosion, you can't use the big four. You can't use compost, you can't use erosion control blankets, you can't use straw, and you can't use BFMs or hydromulch. Hydromulch is not a big four unless it's a BFM. You can't, those other less expensive, not Cadillac, they would be Hyundais or Yugos or something. The Cadillac version and the Mercedes version would be the BFMs bonded with virgin wood fibers, kinky wood fibers that then you add 2 tackifiers to it and they glue it right up in there. And then when they start to slump, the little kinks grab each other and there's tensile strength within the mulch. And then we come down to channel erosion. So there we go, there's the raindrop. This is another little thing. We've seen the raindrop comes down and dislodges the soil particles. Otherwise, sheet flow would go right over this and wouldn't erode. There's not enough energy in sheet flow. But the raindrop had to, and then the sheet flow will slowly deliver some of that turbid water. But what also happens is, have you ever noticed that after a rainstorm, you come back to that soil and it's been sealed over? It's been crusted over? And almost the next rainstorm is almost all runoff because water can't infiltrate. Have you ever noticed that? So that's why you want to get your veg on first thing before the rains come. Sometimes if it's the first rain of the year has already been here, I'll even go in and soil prep and re-scarify the slopes or the soil. Here's 1 acre. This was our Home Depot in Reading. 1 acre. It was a development. It took several years for the development to occur. We had 1 storm drain per 1 acre. This is good old Reading, 1994, Clean Water Act, Phase 1, NPDES. And so what did they do for 1 acre? They threw out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straw bales. And I'm trying to tell people in Reading that inlet right there to the storm drain, that is the waters of the United States. If you discharge into that, you're discharging into Churn Creek. Because let me show you, you got a discharge pipe that goes right to Churn Creek. And there's another pipe over there. So they got in trouble for that. the city of Reading, and actually the developer of that one. And the developer's sitting there for a couple of years. Then they put gravel. Now, gravel, it seems nice. Gravel's going to filter, but silt is so small and the gravel openings are so big, it's just as muddy through the gravel as not. You see that? That didn't work. They still got a letter again. Then they got smart. They got straw and gravel, and the mud and the water is just as muddy. Because straw bales are stupid. There's this feeling that straw bales will suck the sediment out like a sponge or something. It's like a sediment sucking sponge, and it's not. They don't work that way at all. And you know how you have to, and now if you want your notice of termination, you have to remove all your erosion and sediment control stuff from the site. Have you ever tried to pick up a wet straw bale, a wet, muddy straw bale that's a year old? And where are you going to put it? It takes a backhoe to pick it up, and then you have to take it to the landfill, right? So we don't want this. Straw bales are you break them up and you mulch with them. There's no place for them. Make straw wattles out of them. But anyway, so finally they came out and they spread an acre of straw. That's a straw blower. And they put an acre of straw down, and both those 1 acre sites never had muddy water, visibly muddy. I didn't have a turbidity meter. Again, just the straw. Yeah, why? Because it's 94% effective. And sheet flow, shiny dirt is sheet flow. Someone showed me this slide one time, and I said, I like that. That's kind of so the shiny dirt, this is Washington State, is kind of represents sheet flow. And we could still put straw down on that. We could put erosion control blankets down. There's no gangster action yet. And so we're still in the erosion control arena. Erosion control is for raindrop all the way up to sheet erosion. In here, we've got rill, gully erosion. You need to treat that with something else. Okay, is the toolbox helping you get your handle on this? And let me see if I can find this thing now. These Dirt Time videos are available. You can watch like a dozen of them if you want. And we have a test at the end, and you can earn CEUs. This is a good way to go to school without leaving the comfort of your living room. We need some volume. It's right on the computer up there, the button.
It's marked flexible growth medium. So if you look very carefully at it, it's got wood fiber, and it has little polyester fibers mixed in.
Polyester.
Now also, there's a couple of special glues in here. So the glue, we don't have to mix the glue. The glue is already in the product. We're going to empty the Flexterra in. There's the mechanical agitators in the fin machine that'll mix this up. We're going to keep mixing it up till it gets a consistent slurry. We want it thick enough that I can hold it upside down and it'll stick to my hand for a while. We're going to put our seed in also. This is when you put the seed and fertilizer in. Let that mix up good. A little more throttle. Yeah, go ahead and pull that down, John. This is the mechanical
Can you pause that for a minute, Adam? Okay, so this is really important. What you just have seen is a BFM, a bonded fiber matrix, out of all the evolution of erosion control hydraulic mulches. Mulches put down by a hydraulic machine, and they're put down by a hydro seeder. Finn came up with a hydro seeding machine. It was an idea, seed has different sizes and densities, and if you put it in a bucket of water, it'll settle out by its density, and you can't even see what rate you put it down at. So when you put it in a machine, you want a machine that constantly mixes. So you put the water in and the seed, and you mix and you spray. Now you can spray seed all over the place. And that's what the Finn hydro seeder was, 1950s. Well, then they couldn't see the seed, how thick, you put it on too thick over there, and there you missed a spot, but you can't really see it. So they put this dye in, and then they put some fiber in with dye on it, and that would help carry the seed. And then pretty soon we're learning that fiber that we add to the machine is providing cush for its tush, and it protects the seed. So hydro mulching and hydro seeding kind of go hand in hand, but the erosion control comes from the hydro mulching because the seed takes 20, 40 days to grow. But the immediate erosion control comes from the hydro mulch. So here's a hydro mulch that has evolved that it's Bubba proof. It's wood fiber, and it's virgin wood fiber. It's really kinky, and they put one glue in it, a guar gum. That's you can eat it. It's like a food product. Guar is very sticky, like an ice cream and chewing gum, but it lubricates your machine as you spray it out. The other, just FYI, the other highly used tackifier that you would put in is psyllium, and that's Metamucil. So we use that to keep the soil regular. But no, really, we do use Metamucil. But this particular one, guar, is a little stickier. Then they took a special guar and hydrolyzed it like they do limestone. Anyway, they altered it chemically and put that in the bag already. And that's the secret sauce. We can't tell you about that because we'll have to shoot you. So there's two different kinds of glues. You spray it from two different directions. You know, you spray it, and you have to have 100% coverage, and you let it set up a little bit, and it won't re-wet. It's the one that was on that LA freeway for a year, and no erosion at all. But you put it down at 4,000 pounds per acre. These bags are 50-pound bags. So 4,000 pounds and a 50-pound, that's 80 bags per acre. These bags cost about $50, $70, $80 now. So 80 bags, that's $6,400 just for the material. You haven't even hired the hydro seeder yet to put it and spray it on the slope. This is the Cadillac. And there's a reason for it. You can spray it on really thick slopes and it'll stand, but you're paying a pretty penny for it. So there's the one end. I want to give you the one end. The other end is some of the other mulches that we use. Okay, so you agitate it. Let's see, can you start it about midway again? I'm sorry, we're right about here.
Our fertilizer, everything's looking good. Okay, whoa. Looks like we got pretty good coverage from up here, but I bet you when we go down south and look back up, we got a lot of bare areas. So I see an awful lot of shadows on that slope. You know, with MBFMs and BFMs, it's really important we get 100% coverage. So quite often, one of the errors that we make is we'll shoot from one direction, like we did from the top of the slope. Looks perfectly covered from up there. You're looking down, you see good coverage. You come down here below and you look back up and you see we only had 50% coverage. A lot of gaps in there. So with these products, it's really important that we spray from a couple of different directions. I'm going to try to get coverage now from the bottom, spraying into it. I'm also going to lob material in so it comes in from the top. You notice also on this slope when we did our track walking, our surface roughening, track walking is 52% of...
Okay, well, you got to see the most important part of that. I'm going to move through this a little bit more. Channel erosion, another type of erosion where the channels, this is in Austin, Texas, and this channel, this is the most flood-prone city in the world. It's on caliche limestone, so there's not much soil to absorb water. It's kind of like your coral areas. Water won't soak in after a while. So what's happened is they built the sewer lines. They run the sewer lines down the streams, and this sewer line and then the stream downcut with urbanization, more parking lots, more roofs, no bioswales that we just learned about bioswales, and then it downcut. The second sewer line is being exposed, and they're going to have to go put a third one in pretty soon. So anyway, channel erosion, and then the banks fail. Channel erosion is an insidious, incipient problem in our nation's streams. And how is Clean Water Act addressing it? Post-construction BMPs, we just saw. So that's the importance of the, 5 minutes.
In Maryland, they've actually put requirements for stream restoration in their program.
All right, nice. Yeah, California too, but they don't know how much credit to give you. Okay, here's channels. Channels are dying. They're unzipping. This is a nationwide problem. And I'm going to go a little bit faster, just show you some visuals. Do you want to cover your stockpiles with plastic and gravel bags? Where does the plastic go at the end of the job? Landfill? Are we not supposed to be sustainable? You're going to run out of landfill here, aren't you? Really fast. We're already running out. So I've got a new tip for you. You can spray some of your stockpiles, but you know, these specs, like from Caltrans, these specs with gravel bags, and have you ever tried to cover a pile with 6 mil visqueen when the wind's blowing? It's like trying to set sail on a schooner with a nor'easter or something, you know, it's whipping you all around. So I got a plan for you, and this is approved by Caltrans now, is to go ahead and get the contractors, urge them to purchase the geotextiles like the Mirify woven. Water doesn't run through them, water just sheets right off. It's got a high permittivity. If you held it like a bucket, right from the factory, you could let a lot of gallons go by, but when you cover a stockpile, you're not going to cause any erosion under this thing, and hopefully they will buy it and they will reuse it. Now, the reason the contractor, why you're gonna sell them on it, is the contractor gets to cover it with this and use pins, snap ties with a washer, and just stab them and close them every day. And then he goes, hey, Mac, I need 5 more yards. So the Mac goes and unpins a little bit, waves that thing back, go get 5 yards, flips it back over, and pins it again. And you're good to go, and you can put your perimeter around it. It's approved by Caltrans now. They did some studies on it. So save yourself some time and money on that. I don't want to get into those kinds of things. I think we're just about done. We'll cover the rest of this during our next session. Okay, more ramblings on the erosion control patrol. Any questions?